22%. There's a fisherman who's a buddy of mine from Wellfleet, Massachusetts, who sent me a screenshot of his credit card bill a couple of weeks ago, 37%. Now, if the mafia charged you 22%, it would be called loan sharking. They go to prison. If those countries, Visa, MasterCard, Chase, Citibank, Morgan, it's just business as usual. Who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. And the Iraq war, or the Ukraine war, $113 trillion. Mitch McConnell said, don't worry, it's not going to Ukraine, it's going to US military contact, it's going to, he admitted on national TV as a money laundering scheme. Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, Lockheed, and General Dynamics. Who do you think owns every one of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock. And who got the contract after their company, BlackRock's companies destroyed Ukraine? Who got the contract that's supposed to be up to $500 billion to rebuild Ukraine? BlackRock. And who's buying all the land now? Because they forced Ukraine to just put all of its land up for sale to pay the loan back. The agricultural land, they've had 500,000 kids who've died to protect that land, to keep it in the possession of Ukraine. And our loan agreement says, well, you have to put all that land up to sale for international corporations. So the three companies that have bought it, 30% already sold. DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto. Who do you think is the biggest owner of each one of those? BlackRock. So Cargill is privately owned, but the biggest individual owner other than the private company is BlackRock. So, like I said, they're doing it right in front of us. They don't care that we know about it because they've all got us fighting each other. They got a formula for making sure we don't do anything about it. And what I've said when I declared for presidency is, I want to end that rancor. And as I said, I want to lead the American people over the wall and take back our country. And I cannot do that alone. I'm going to need your help, and I'm going to need, to build an army. And I need to start by getting on the ballot in every state, including here in West Virginia, in Ohio. And we're collecting signatures now in the state. I hope any of you who can will help us do that. We need to collect 8,000 to get on this state, and I'll tell you, they said it will take us weeks and weeks to do that in New Hampshire. We had to collect 3,000 signatures in New Hampshire, and we collected 5,000 in a single day. Because we got a lot of great volunteers out there doing that work for us, and I hope some of you will volunteer to do that in West Virginia. We need 8,000 signatures in this state, but we always try to get 60% extra because both the RNC and DNC are going to come in and go through every signature and try to disqualify them. So we need a big cushion, anything that you can do, if you can go to Kennedy24.com and send us a contribution, even a $5 contribution, it helps have a diversity of contributions, because that's what, now we have to do reporting every month, and what they look for is, do we have a lot of people giving? And so even if you only give $5, that is wonderful. And I'm doing, my polling is outstanding. I'm beating both President Trump and President Biden among all Americans in the battleground states, everybody under 45 years old, which is pretty amazing. And across America for everybody under 35. And I'm beating them in the biggest party now, which is independents. I'm beating both of them. So, and I have my favorability ratings are higher than, the net favorability is 25 points ahead of either President Biden or President Trump. And what I've said to people is, these are the two least popular party nominees who've ever run in modern American history. Both of them. So, and isn't it time that we have in this country a candidate who people can vote for who's not the less of two evils, but, somebody who's going to work with Americans and listen to them and try to figure out a way, imaginative ways and resourceful ways that are not locked into these party orthodoxies to actually solve the problems in our country, and who only is thinking of that. And that's all I'm going to think about, is particularly with young people, how to give them hope for our country, pride in our country again, and hope for their own futures. The day I get into office, I'm going to start working on that issue. I'm going to be open to every idea. I already have a lot of solutions, but I want to get every person in that generation into a home so that we can start rebuilding the American middle class in this country. And the one cohort that I'm doing really poorly with is baby boomers. And I ought to be doing, thank you. Thanks to all the old people like me. And I ought to be doing really great with them because, they're the people who remember Camelot and the Kennedy era. But, they have a disability, which is they only get their news from ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, and the New York Times. And if I were living in that information ecosystem, I'd have a low opinion of myself as well. What we're finding is if they, the young people are getting their information from long-form interviews, from podcasts, from other alternative interviews. So they're doing critical thinking, and they're not locked into these orthodoxies. And somehow, if you're young and you have parents, you need to lock them up somewhere and make them listen to a Joe Rogan podcast. One of the great things that you can do to really advance this campaign to be a soldier and trying to retake our country is to wear the merch, wear a hat, wear a shirt, because people will come up to you, and particularly old people will come up to you and say, "Why are you supporting that crackpot?" And you can tell them, there's one right there. You can say, just listen to this, this Aubrey Marcus or Lex Friedman or, or Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan interview. And when you get them to do that, give them some, something that's easy to chew and sit them at a table and get them to listen to that. And what we find is when you do that, they have a very, very high conversion rate. So over the next 9 months, I'm counting on a lot of you kids to go and get your, force your parents to listen to a podcast. And that way we're going to win this election. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I want to say one last thing, which is after I speak, which is right now, I'm going to do a selfie line and take pictures with anybody who wants to get a picture. Which side did we line them up? So if you line up over here on this side, and we can do it really quick if everybody cooperates.